Give Joe Biden a chance. I know because I'm out of here. I don't need to listen to this. But hold on. Before you run away, just give me a couple seconds to explain the situation. You probably complained about how the other side never gave your guy a chance. They never give you a chance. They never let you explain your beliefs or values. You just get completely ignored. So now here you are doing the exact same thing. You're refusing to listen to the other side or listen to their beliefs or values. If you want someone to give you a chance, then you first got to give them a chance. Well, it's not the way. They need to do it first. Oh, whatever. If everyone has to wait for the other side to do it first, then it's never going to happen. Why don't you lead by example? I know you're probably slightly resentful. You'll say, well, when our guy won, about 5 minutes later, they started the resistance. They even started probably the resistance before it even happened. I get it. But if you were mad at them for doing this, then how can you go ahead and do the exact same thing? If 4 years ago you were upset they never gave you a chance, they never listened to you, they just never valued you. Now you're going to do the exact same thing that you complained about. How about you lead by example? Just give it a try. Maybe just the first 100 days. If it doesn't work out, then you start your own resistance or whatever. Or just listen to this video and see if maybe I can share some information that'll help you understand Biden a little better, maybe restore some of your faith. Just give me this short video and we'll see what we can come up with. So 1972, the guy goes into office. Kind of looks like a groiper right there. I don't know, just saying. Anyway, 1972, he's elected. And based on my Google Analytics, none of you were born. Most of your dads were probably in diapers, which makes this GIF really stupid because I use these GIFs. And based on the ages of the people that watch these videos, you have no idea what they mean, but I don't know. They make me laugh, so I'm going to keep putting them up. So 45 years, you would imagine Joe Biden probably passed tons of legislation. He's a Democrat. They believe in big government. Yeah, they probably do. So 45 years, he should have sponsored tons of bills and laws and just enormously grew the size of the government. Nope. He didn't. He didn't. You look at Joe Biden's record, you look at his accomplishments, there's not a lot of laws, not a lot of legislation. So, I mean, I can understand why Democrats and progressives would not like him, but conservatives and traditionals or libertarians, you look at his record and say, 45 years and he really didn't pass very many laws? It's kind of a good thing. I could see Democrats and progressives not liking him, and it's obvious that they don't like him. You look at the Iowa caucus, he finished fourth. The former vice president, 8 years in office with Barack Obama, fourth in the Iowa caucus because he doesn't do the big government thing. You can look at his record, 45 years. Now, I do need to make a side note here that if you search online to find the correct graphic of the Iowa caucus, it does not exist. If you look at the graphics, you'll see, oh, Pete Buttigieg won that. He did not win the Iowa caucus. We've all memory hold this. Some people still remember that Pete Buttigieg is connected to the software app that was run during the Iowa caucus that rigged it for him. Hopefully, I don't get a thing underneath. Let's not say rigged it, but mysteriously, he showed up as the winner. They later fixed it. Bernie Sanders won. But if you Google search for any images of the Iowa caucus, you cannot find them that show that Bernie Sanders, the correction percentage-wise. Strange. Anyway, bigger point. The Democrats and progressives didn't like this guy. Now, they like him now, but they like him because they have to like him. Do they like his beliefs in smaller government, or at least not growing the government? I think if you are a conservative or a libertarian, or you're one of those people that are worried about the nation, well, this should calm you down. 45 years, didn't pass a lot of laws. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that like, well, okay, maybe I can get behind this guy. Give him a chance so far. All right. One thing that is a common criticism of Mr. Biden is that he passed legislation that protected the credit card companies. And typically, Democrats and Republicans will rally together. One of the few times that you will rally together. But hey, when it's about being resentful, then yes, the Americans can come together. When it's our job to hate something, boy, can we unite. And in this case, our common enemy is the credit card companies. So people probably blast Joe Biden for that. But let's explain it, because the problem here is not so much the credit card companies or Joe Biden. It's that Americans just don't understand what democracy is. We have either we are ignorant, which is very likely, or we're just deceitful. And we know how democracy really works. We just don't want to admit how democracy works. So let's explain, because to understand why Joe Biden passed laws that protected the credit card companies, it's very simple when you understand or are willing to understand how representative democracy really works. He's a senator from Delaware. when he passes laws that help out his representatives in Delaware. He works for them. He doesn't necessarily work for the nation. When he passes laws, most of the time in a representative democracy, you pass laws for your representatives. The people in Delaware give you a call, say, hey, we need this, we need that. He doesn't betray the people in Delaware to serve the nation. He doesn't pass a law that says, oh, my people want this. So, but you know what? This actually is going to help more people. So, you know what, people of Delaware, see ya, bye-bye, sorry, I'm not. That's not how it works. In a representative democracy, and we can see this clearly, that you serve the self-interest of the people in your constituency. It's selfish, it's self-centered, it's Baruch Assault, I want a new loop. That's how your democracy works. It's one group using their power to get stuff and making other people pay for it. They want to win, they want power, and they want to take from other groups. That's what representative democracy is. You want to help out your group and make everyone else pay for it. That's how this works. It's not about sharing. It's not about caring. Joe Biden or any representative in Congress or in the Senate are going to pass laws first for the nation. They're going to serve the people that vote for them. They're not going to abandon the people of Delaware to help out the people of New Mexico. Not going to happen. He's going to help the people of Delaware in their self-centered, selfish, self-interested ways. And that's what the voters expect. When people vote for whoever your representative is, you're voting for them so that they do stuff for you. That's what democracy is, and you know it. You try to, no, the people rule. Keep telling yourself, democracy is a malfunctioning machine. It's based around selfish behavior. That's what it is when you have a representative democracy. You look at the behavior of the voters from the Democrats to the Republicans. They simply just, I want to vote so that I can get my values forced on the other side. It's a majoritarian system that punishes minorities. It does not protect the rights of the minority, despite it saying so in the Constitution. All you got to look at is the last, 200 years where the majority rules over the minority. The majority gets their way, their values, their beliefs are pushed through, and the minority is punished and often has to pay for it. And it switches sides. It's the majority of Democrats punishing the Republicans and rewarding themselves, or the majority of the Republicans rewarding themselves and punishing the Democrats. That's your system. To me, it seems like a malfunctioning machine, but understanding this malfunctioning machine that you call democracy is how you understand, well, how could he ever support the credit card companies? You know a little bit about Delaware, then you know. Delaware is the home, well, first of all, it's a tax shelter. And who goes to hide in tax shelters? Credit card companies with credit card employees. So however you want to look at it, oh, he's voting for the credit card company. Yeah, well, that credit card company is made up of employees, and it's a big industry in the state of Delaware. And so he's helping out one of the biggest industries in Delaware. Credit card companies are people too. Well, they are. There's a lot of employees there that benefit from these laws. Why would he ever protect the credit card? It wasn't that he's protecting the credit card companies, helping the people of the state of Delaware, and could care less about the other 49 states. That's how representative democracy works. Don't be mad at Biden. This is how the game works. To go further in that, look, don't be mad at him. This is the game. So in 2003, he votes to let the Iraq war happen, of which he has apologized for. It said was a mistake, but he voted yes. Now, often we look at Obama and say, now before we do this, what are those? Who did this clip art? Who's doing these pictures? Can you give some respect to Mr. Obama and put some nice shoes on him? What are we doing with these graphics? Terrible. What are those? Anyway, so what I was saying was Obama is a representative and he voted against the war. And often you'll hear this repeated, that Biden was for the war, but Barack Obama, he knew it all along. What a great decision. What a great man. It's not that. Like, one, Biden's not a bad guy. We're not saying either one's a bad guy or a good guy. You just need to understand how democracy works. It's a representative democracy where you vote for what your people want. You are representing them. And he had to vote for the state of Delaware, so he had to pretty much vote for war. Whereas Barack Obama was not a senator yet. He was a representative. Where was he a representative for? Hyde Park, Chicago. They're basically hippies. Now, it's not basically hippies, but it's, university professors, very left-wing. Any university in 2003, mainly every university in 2003 were very anti-war. It's where a lot of the protests went. So he was just simply voting for it. Well, the people in my community don't want war, so I vote against the war. It's pretty simple. That's how it works. That's how your malfunctioning machine works. If Biden would have voted no, he would have been kicked out of the Senate. They wouldn't have reelected him. And if Barack Obama would have voted for war, Do you think he would have got reelected in Hyde Park? Do you think those hippies would have voted for him? I know it's a bit of an exaggeration, but the liberals in Hyde Park would not have voted him back into office if he voted for war. It's a representative democracy. This is how it works. And you're going to say, well, what's wrong with the government serving the people? The thing is, they're not serving the people. When you say, well, the representative democracy serves the people, that gives the impression, the idea that it's serving the entire nation, 300 million people, they're serving us. That's not the way it's working. They're serving warring tribes. They're serving 435 different sectors, all fighting against each other for their own self-interest. Sometimes the 435, half of them work together. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes New York's stealing from California. And sometimes districts in North Carolina are piggybacking off of districts in New York. It's 435 tribes using their representative to steal from everyone else, to push their values and beliefs on everyone else. It's not serving the people. Your representative democracy is very much an isolated, self-interested organization, which your godfather of real conservatism, nothing like what we see today, Edmund Burke, was against. He was a representative from Bristol in England. And the people of Bristol said to him, hey, we need you to pass these laws to help out Bristol. Here's what we need you to do, this, and that. This will help out the people of Bristol. And he basically told him, nah, I'm good. My job as a representative is to serve my country and pass laws and follow and serve the Constitution and the rights within it. My job is to withhold and establish this country. The country comes first. And the people of Bristol said, no, that's not your job. And he lost his position. He would go on and find other positions in the government and continue to have a lot of influence. But the people of Bristol said, nah, your job is to do what we want because we are selfish and we know how a democracy works. We put you in place to get stuff for us. So when you understand all this representative democracy part, like, it's not like he's in the pocket of the credit card company, as people say. Yes, he is in the pocket of the credit card company because he's in the pocket of the people of Delaware. So I don't know. You can still not like him, but it's not as binary by any means. He also passed the Protect Our Children Act, which made the internet safe. Everyone on the right and left can agree upon that. So there shouldn't be there's always going to be controversy. One of the problems with the Protect Our Children Act, and this is going to be bigger, we're going to make this convoluted and throw it on top of its head, is that, yes, if you are doing illegal criminal activities with photos, etc. online, you will go to jail, you will get punished, and they're going to strengthen law enforcement to make sure that happens. But you using whatever domain or internet service provider or whatever website, using that tool to get that image across, we're not going to punish the tools. We're not going to punish the companies that allow you to host and serve and distribute these illegal things. You're the bad guy. We are not. We are going to protect the distributing tools. Some people say, well, it's not fair. They're not the one posting stuff on the internet. So we get why Joe Biden and the Congress, which was pretty unanimous, agreed that punish the predators, but it's not the manufacturer. It's not the tool creator's problem. They just created a service and someone's misusing it. Why should you blame the person that provides the service if someone misused it? Well, so the Equal Access to Justice for Victims of Gun Violence repeals federal protections blocking firearm and ammunition manufacturers. The Democrats say not only should shooters be punished, but also the people that provide the guns and ammunition, the tools, should do it. So they say, for the internet, the companies are protected. It's not their fault that someone's misusing it. When it comes to gun, it is your fault that someone is misusing. Well, that's a little bit of a contradiction. That's a little bit, and here's where the people that are on the left follow the cognitive dissonance. It's different this time, but that's a but. No, it's very simple. You either understand that some people misuse things and you should punish the user, or you know what? Some things can be misused and you're going to need to punish the people that provide the tools for the actions. So if you're going to punish Winchester for providing the tool that is misused, then you probably need to punish the internet service provider that is giving the tool to the pornographers, that is giving the tool to people that are doing illegal things. Isn't it the same thing? Yeah, it is the same thing. But guess what, folks? We're not going to, it sounds like we're picking on the Democrats. So just to clear it up, protect the kids, punish Winchester, but don't protect the kids from, right? If you punished or restrained or restricted Twitter or Amazon's web services or the internet service providers, guess what? The whole logic here is you're going to punish Winchester and Winchester's going to have to pass laws or they're going to have to change their policies to make sure that whatever, I don't know how they would do it, but they're going to try to protect people from misusing guns. If you start punishing, throwing them in jail, they're going to have to change their policies so that they are safer. Well, so the same thing, you would put limits and restrictions on these internet service providers and punish them so that they would have to start policing themselves. Right now, because Twitter can't be punished for illegal things getting posted on Twitter, they don't have to do anything. Oh, you're posting really nasty photos or scary photos or people are being abused. There is no punishment for Twitter. So Twitter doesn't have to change their behavior. Internet service providers, someone is misusing their website traffic or their website creation tools. Well, they're not going to be punished. So they don't have to change the tools. They don't have to police it as well. If Congress were to police these guys, it would make them police themselves. That's the whole thing here. You want Winchester to police themselves. That's the goal of this legislation. The same thing should carry over, punish them as well, so that Facebook has to police themselves stricter to make sure that children aren't being abused on Facebook, so that Twitter isn't showing abusive pictures, so that Amazon's web servers are not hosting websites where illegal things are being distributed. If you punish them, they'll change their behavior. Now, before we jump on the Democrats for being inconsistent, Republicans are saying, yeah, they're probably saying today, yeah, you should watch Apple, you should watch Google and Twitter and punish them and restrict them, or at least force them to police for this. But then it's like, well, but don't make Winchester police. So there's a serious inconsistency there. And we've talked about that in previous videos. So neither one of these sides really want to have an honest conversation and really want to talk about it. But if you just look at it on its surface, because right now, Winchester is not punished and they're protected under law. If you misuse a firearm and you shoot people and kill them, Winchester's not liable. Same thing. If you distribute illegal, illicit photos on Twitter, Twitter's not punished. So the common theme here is underneath the child protection, which is good. We're protecting kids. But underneath it's protecting big business. And so under that theory, if you are worried about Joe Biden, the guy that wrote this law protected big business, right? Well, in theory, if he has legislation that protected big business from liability, then Winchester and the other manufacturers would be the same thing. So you don't have to worry, right? It's going to be okay. Biden's not going to mess with your gun right. Maybe it got a little far. Maybe you can't follow me down that road. You're right, because it's not about consistency. It's not about, okay, it's about protect businesses we like. Representative democracy. You say it's great. I say it's probably a malfunctioning machine where the majority rules over the minority and there's no consistency whatever. And this is both sides. When the Republicans are in power, they will rule based on what they want. They're not going to follow any sort of consistency either. Big problem with your system. Hey, in the end though, set all that to the side, he did pass legislation that makes the internet safer for kids. You can't hate him for that. You should be able to, okay, that's a good thing. All right, last, we'll close with maybe one of the more controversial incidents in his senatorial career, the Clarence Thomas hearings. Now, it was a disaster. It was a circus. It was a clown show, and it's 100% his fault. And he embarrassed himself with his natural law questioning. Just Google that one up and see just the convoluted nonsense that he participates in. But yes, it was a circus. Yes, it was absolutely a disaster and one of the probably more embarrassing things that's happened in America in modern history. And it shouldn't matter whether you're a conservative or liberal, but apparently it will. But anyway, these hearings were a disaster and it's his fault. But he stopped it before it went off the rails. He prevented it from turning into a madhouse. He stopped it before you had people protesting, and probably shouldn't say anything about that one. But we obviously didn't learn the lesson. Joe Biden knew that if you keep pushing this thing, you allow the craziness to go on, it will be a disaster. And we lived that disaster in 2018. Biden knew back then, like, look, We can't go too far. And him and his team were quoted saying his job was to conduct a hearing, not prosecute a case. Unfortunately, everyone, again, memory hold this whole thing, and so we had to relive it in 2018, but we didn't just relive it in 2018. It went way over top, and it turned into a circus on Congress with people flooding into Congress and not supposed to say that. I'm sorry, but that happened. He prevented that. He stopped that. Did he create a crazy mess? Yes, but he stopped it from going too far. You can look and see kind of the deals that he worked. Obviously, Democrats were very triggered by his behavior during this hearing, but I guess they have forgotten it, so whatever. But if you want to see someone who knows limits and knows boundaries, that's something to be positive of. Knows that, like, look, we can go too far with this thing and cause problems. He knew to stop. Now, last thing, I guess that was going to be the last thing. He did have relationships with segregationists, Strom Thurmond, I can't remember their names. I don't really memorize all the names of segregationists in Congress, but he had some of these relationships. He worked with people that had views that were outside of, the Overton window, I suppose. And here you can see Kamala Harris discussing the relationships that Joe Biden had with the segregationists, with the racists, to coddle the reputations of the segregationists, of people who, if they had their way, I would literally not be standing here as a member of the United States Senate. I think it's misinformed. A real problem for me. So she's saying that his relationship with these segregationists is a problem. Before we go any further, let's make our note that racism is bad. It's awful. It's horrible. It should not exist. It should be stopped. It should be prevented. And it's very easy. Just don't be racist, people. But now back to the situation. So Joe Biden clearly was willing to work with people who had views that were not his own. He was willing to work with people and solve problems with people that he didn't share values, he didn't share beliefs, that were different from him, that would, quote unquote, be the enemy. He was willing to work with people you weren't supposed to work with. He was willing to talk to people you're not allowed to talk to. He was willing to find some common ground with people that had the wrong ideas. And they were the wrong ideas. But guess what, folks? You now have the wrong ideas. You're the bad guy. You're the enemy. The 70 million people that voted for Trump, you're a racist. Sorry. Whether you are or are not, whether you really think you are, it does not matter. To the other side, you are the enemy. You're the bad guy. You're Strom Thurmond. This is not a good spot for you to be in. The good news is the one guy you probably need in control right now is the one guy that has shown throughout history that he can shake hands, he can meet in the middle, he can work with the people that are supposedly the bad guys. He's the guy that's willing to find ways to find common ground with the quote-unquote racists. Now, they were racist in the past. You're probably not a racist today, but there's no difference. I'm sorry. Not in modern history. You're going to be considered the bad guy. So if there was one person to be in power that could possibly not ruin your life, it's the guy that's shown a history of being willing to work and meet in the middle and negotiate with people he's not allowed to talk to. That's the guy. So you may be worried about Joe Biden, but he's the only guy you got at this point. Everybody else on this side, they're not with you. They probably, I don't want to say destroy you, but they want their values and their beliefs to take front stage. And your values, your beliefs, your ideas should be ignored. They're probably hateful to them. They should be banished away. So he's all you got. He might be the only person keeping the wolves at bay. So as you move forward into the year, maybe you give Joe Biden a chance. Maybe it's not going to be so bad. I could be wrong, obviously. But, there are some things to like. There are some things that will help you survive. I don't know. But when you look at the other side and you look at the different sides, it looks like he's maybe a possible person who can stand up for everybody. I could be completely wrong, and this video could be getting huge down likes. But hey, I'm trying, people. And I think it's important to try. I think it's important to give him a chance. I think it's important to give everybody a chance. Just to go back to it one last time. If you expected the other side, wherever you are, to respect you and to listen to you, and they didn't, and you got mad, well, why not listen to them for once? Give them a chance. If you want someone to listen to you, then you need to listen to them. If you wanted someone to allow you to be in power, then every once in a while you're going to have to allow them to be in power. Just the way that it works. At least try it for a little bit. If it doesn't work out after 100 days, then, re-explore what it is you're going to do. But just maybe give Joe Biden a chance.